Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow was an exciting time in the history of Duel Masters because this era saw the return of the Continental Championships. While many players were excited to have a second Continentals, upon closer inspection, Wizards of the Coast's budget cuts were evident. Instead of having separate invitation circuit tournaments, the invitations to this Continentals were given out to top placements at the Tournament of Five Civilizations, and no travel stipend was awarded to the first place finishers. On top of having less tournaments in the season leading up to the event, it was also announced that this time around there would be no age divisions and that everyone would be playing in just one tournament. If this wasn't enough, the prize support for the tournament itself left the community in disappointment. Despite all of these setbacks, the community still showed up in full force for the event and made it one of the most exciting tournaments in Duel Masters history. In this series, both Michael and myself will be taking you on a journey through time. Each episode we will look at a time in Duel Masters past, showcasing the evolution of the metagame as new sets are released. Using real decks from that time, we will play a best 2 out of 3 match to relive the game as it once was. This is the history of Duel Masters. Welcome everybody to the 2006 Continental Championships in Charleston, South Carolina. This was the second and last ever Continental Championships, and we have a crazy wheel for today's episode. We have all the top 8 decks from this tournament on one wheel, and not only do we have that, I have a special guest with me on the wheel. Michael, we're here together. What's up with that?
I don't know. I mean, we've got something special planned for this week, obviously. Why don't you go ahead and tell them?
So normally, of course, we spin our own wheel, we get a deck, and then we play it. But because this is special, we're at the Continental Championships, and we have all the top 8 deck lists. We kind of just want to show all of them. So here's how this episode is going to work. We're going to take turns spinning the wheel. Whatever deck you get to put it in your back pocket. Then the next player spins the wheel. They get a deck in their back pocket. And we draft all the decks. So each player will have half of the top 8. I'll have 4 decks. Michael's going to have 4 decks. Then we go into the duel, where we can choose the decks in whatever order we want to play. So there will be a little bit of mind games going on. What deck you want to play first? Come in, and we'll just play our best 2 out of 3. So you'll be able to see at least 6 of the decks today. 2 of them won't make the cut, but we're still going to show deck profiles on them anyways, because this is just such a unique time where we actually have an entire top 8. And this was the last ever Continental Championships, and a lot of these decks are really cool and really interesting. So I think it's really interesting just the fact that people think of Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow as this time where Bombazar was the tier 0, and that Bombazar won the tournament, but
they're not wrong, honestly. I mean, there is some variety here, but
we have some decks that are not Bombazar, so it's not going to just be Bombazar Mirror, Bombazar Mirror, Bombazar Mirror, Bombazar Mirror. We're going to have a little bit of variety, so it should be a pretty interesting episode. Michael, are you ready to just spin this and maybe we can briefly say 1 or 2 things about the deck as we spin it? Or no, we'll just I guess briefly say it and then we'll do the rest in the profile. So are you ready to spin?
Yeah, I'm ready. Or
right.
Am I going first or are you?
I don't know. Do you want to go first? I guess I won last week, so I guess I'll choose. I'll let you go first. It's fine.
Okay.
All right.
You're gonna have to click.
Yeah. It's on my computer. All right, here we go. Your spin is boom. What are you getting? What are you getting? Oh, it's coming around.
I know which one I wanted.
All right, Bomba Stompa by Mike Lenarsic. Okay, I believe this is just a typical Bombazar deck. Nothing too exciting about it.
This is I'm looking at it now. This is the one that's just fire in nature, actually. So it's a bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Okay, I forgot that was in there.
Missiles also, and pyro fighters. So this should be fun. I think. That's cool. Definitely glad this is on. And Rikaboo. That's pretty uncommon for Bombazar lists.
Yeah, so just a more aggressive Bombazar without the draw power, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to spin for my first deck now. Let's see what I get. What am I hoping for? I couldn't tell you. They all look pretty cool. We are going to get... Oh, yes! This is the one that I wanted the most. Bark Whip Ain't Got No Mojo by Chris Johnson. This deck got, I think, 8th place, but it's just a really cool deck.
5th through 8th are a tie, basically, because it's a single event final.
But this deck has really cool light nature cards. We got Lucia Lex, We've got Techno Totems. Just a really cool build overall. It's going to be a lot of fun to play with that one.
Then just 2 Bombazars as the only fire card, just to slap it in with Soul Swap whenever you want.
Because Soul Swap is just insane. All right, let's spin for your second deck here, Michael. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here it goes. And it's going to be Bombaz Has Class
I
by
get the
Mohammed
Al-Hindi deck. I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, not too bad.
Just Fire, Water, Nature, Bombazar.
Yeah.
It looks like a pretty good list, too.
Pretty typical list of the time.
Yeah.
All right, not too much to comment on. Everybody has seen Bombazar Blue. And if you haven't seen Bombazar Blue, you're going to see it today. Let's see what I get for my second.
That's not the only Bombazar Blue in this wheel.
Okay, I will take that. Psychotic Ninja Mimes of Fury by Ben Fluhoff. That was the first place deck, so it's got to be good. All right, so we have 2 decks apiece now. We're going to move into the third deck. Are you ready?
I'm ready. This
what do we got?
Mine, right?
Yeah. There's still 2 control decks left on the wheel. And that is not one of them. That is Purple Fingers by Carl Reddish, which I do believe is just another Bombazar Blue.
Yeah, which that was what you spun to, so it's 3 Bombazar Blues in a row.
All right, let's spin here. Let's see if the control decks are going to be split or not. For the dub by Matt Dautrich. This was the second place deck.
Yep, yeah, you got both the decks I wanted.
This one is a really cool Dark Water Fire control deck that features the Tanzanite Declawaz lock. So that's a really cool one. I'm excited about that. That was the deck that I played back at this tournament too, but mine was not near as refined as his was, I'll be honest. All right, you have one more deck. I have one more deck. So this is actually the last spin because whatever you get as your last one, and then I get whatever is left over. So here we go, the last decks. Oh, I wanted that deck. That deck is so cool.
Fire, Nature Control, which this is Jonathan Bauer,
Yeah, so this actually is the only deck, notably, that did not get a deck name, so I just put it in as Water, Fire, Nature Control.
That's fair.
So, Jonathan Bauer, wherever you are, if you're watching this video, you gotta start naming your decks, bro. You gotta start naming them. All these other decks had good names, which leaves me with, oh, what's it gonna be? I think it's gonna be Dragon Devil.
Actually spinning. I will say this deck I
Dragon
did not
Devil.
So at least I'm granted you can just not play it.
Yeah, this is probably the deck I won't play. It's like a really greedy control deck, but like knowing that you got a lot of Bombazar builds, I don't feel great playing this hefty control deck like that. So yeah, that's gonna be the decks. We're gonna take some time, put these into OCTGN, make a lot of deck profiles, and then we're going to come at you guys with some sick duels. I hope you're excited for the 2006 Continental Championships. We'll catch you in the deck editor.
Alright, this is Jonathan Bauer's list that he took to 4th place at the 2nd Continental Championships. This is a Fire, Water, Nature Bombazar deck, I guess you could say, and obviously there's a lot of Bombazar in the top 8 of this tournament. However, I think this list in particular is somewhat interesting because it's really a different take on Bombazar. A lot of people around this time were going for like more aggressive Bombazar decks, but this one really isn't like that. This is honestly more of just a Fire, Water, Nature control deck that's also running Bombazar just as sort of like a finisher, basically. And you can see that by looking at the list here. We've got like tons more defensive tools than most Bombazar lists. Like we've got Thrash Crawlers, we've got Magma Rexes, we've got Mana Nexuses, we've got Burst Shots, just lots of defensive tools to keep our opponent's board in check. And then we've got actually a relatively slow but pretty strong late game that against other like mid-range sort of decks, we can just take over the game really easily with a list like that. So like we've got Rumbling Terrahorns to find whatever cards we need, and then like Gatling Sky Terror, Bazagaziel Dragon, and even Scarlet Sky Terror for just sort of late game control. And then obviously we've got some powerful removal tools also, like Apocalypse Vise, for example. And then once we're ready, we can just end the game on the spot with either like the one copy of Bombazar that we have, or even these 2 copies of Cryptic Totem. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, we can just use either of these to close out games, or even just finish them with any of our other double breakers. But anyway, that's the idea of this deck, and then obviously we've got other generically good Fire, Water, and Nature cards, Bronze Arm Tribe, Aqua Hulkus, Energy Stream, Core Isle, etc., etc. But just a really interesting list, and I do like the additional focus on the late game. I do think this deck can be a bit slow, but it's obviously quite powerful, as evidenced by the fact that it got a top 4 finish at the biggest tournament in Duel Masters at this time. So yeah, I'm really excited to play this today. I am probably actually going to use this deck for my first game with Ben today, and the reason for that is basically I think he might be starting with the Nature Light Bombazar deck that was in the top 8, and because this has a lot of ways to like answer creatures 1 for 1, I think this should have a pretty good matchup against that deck in particular, as opposed to like the more explosive Bombazar decks you might find elsewhere in the top 8. If I'm wrong, whatever. I mean, this is still a pretty good deck regardless. But yeah, so that's the deck. Looking forward to see how it does.
The first deck that I spun on the wheel is shown here. This deck was piloted by Ben Fluhoft to the first place finish at the tournament, the 2006 Continental Championships. This is a very, very standard Bombazar blue build, so I don't really have that much to say about it. Pretty much you use Essence Elf to lower the cost of your spells that help you generate advantage. But, like, what spells are you running? Energy Stream and Soul Swap. But that's enough to warrant playing Essence Elf, because if you get Energy Streams to cheap, you're going to be drawing a ton of cards and just putting more threats on the board without having to waste your whole turn playing the Energy Stream. Also, having Soul Swap being really cheap just is kind of nice to have as well. Poisonous Mushroom is going to just like ramp you up to the end game. Ganta is obnoxiously hard to deal with, 2 costs 4,000. Aqua Hulkus and Bronze Arm Tribe are just like advantage generating creatures that are also putting pressure on the board. Energy Stream is just drawing cards, of course. Soul Swap is just absolutely one of the most insane cards that came out in this time. You could switch any creature in the battle zone with a card in their shields, essentially. So you can use this to make your opponent drop Bombazar on the field too early, or you can use it to get your own Bombazars out. It's so versatile. It can be used as removal. It can be used as upgrading your Essence Elf and Poisonous Mushrooms into Bombazars and stuff. Just an absolutely insane card. We also have 4 Wind Axe, which is going to help ramp us to our end game while getting rid of pesky blockers. Aqua Surfers, because if you don't have good shield triggers at this point, you probably lost because of all the Bombazar decks. And of course, 4 whole copies of Bombazar. This card is absolutely ridiculous, and we are absolutely going to see the power of this card today, so you will not want to miss it. If 4 copies of Bombazar wasn't enough finishers, we're going to slide in there with 2 Twin Cannon Sky Terrors, just because like following up Bombazar with a Twin Cannon is an absolutely insane play. And then also Scarlet Sky Terror 2, just in case we run into a pesky light blockers deck. Now, I know just because of the top 8 decks, Michael doesn't have one, but it's a nice card to have just in case. This deck is amazing, it's well put together, super well balanced, and there's a reason that it won the tournament. Probably the most solid build out of the entire tournament of Bombazar Blue, and that's why it won, so it should pick us up a win today.
Okay, this is Mike Lenerzik's deck that he took to 5th place at the Continental Championships. As you can see from this deck list, this is another Bombazar deck, but this is another interesting list in my opinion, because as you can see, there's no water in this deck list as compared to almost all of the other Bombazar decks that were popular at the time. This deck is just Fire Nature Bombazar, and as you can probably assume from that color combination, this is a much more aggressive take on the archetype than you would find even from like the Bombazar blue decks. And sort of the cards that highlight that, I think. First off, we've got 4 Ganta and 4 Quixotic Hero Swine Snout in the early game. And these are just really aggressively statted units to be playing early on. And because their stats are so good, we can safely attack with them early on, and it's going to be hard for our opponent to deal with them. They're also really hard to kill in response with like Aqua Hulkus or whatever. Like Aqua Hulkus doesn't go over Ganta, if you're playing another creature on your turn, Aqua Hulkus also won't go over Quixotic Hero Swine Snout. Then in addition to that, right below that, we've also got 4 Pyro Fighter and 4 Rikaboo, so we've got 8 3-mana speed attackers in this deck, and so against like control in particular, that just really adds another layer of aggression to this deck that we can use to get at our opponent's shields early and put pressure on them. And then as usual, we've got 3 Bombazar Dragon of Destiny to close out the game. We've also got Windex to clear the way for blockers, or clear out our opponent's blockers to clear the way for our attackers. One interesting thing, because we're not playing water, we do have room to run a lot of Rumbling Terrahorn in this deck, which makes it a lot easier to find Bombazar. The last thing I'll point out, I guess, we do have 4 Mana Nexus and 4 Natural Snare. Even though those aren't so like aggressive cards like I've been saying with this deck, I do think that's a pretty smart inclusion, because I think access to all of these shield triggers is really going to give this deck an edge against other Bombazar decks. And as you've probably figured out, there were a lot of Bombazar decks at this tournament, and if you're trying to close games and you just hit Mana Nexus, Natural Snare, and you've only got 2 turns to do it before Bombazar effect makes you lose, that's going to be a bad time for you. So those are also, I think, going to be pretty useful in this deck. Not so different from the other Bombazar decks, but it is another neat take on this archetype that still has a slightly different feel than some of the other decks. Anyways, yeah, I'm really excited to try this out. I am probably going to be playing this deck today when I know I'm going first, so if Ben wins a game, then I'll probably use this as like a counter pick when I know I'm going first. So yeah, that's the deck. Looking forward to see how it does.
What you are looking at now is the deck that Matt Dautrish piloted to a second place finish at the Continentals. He was one of the few players that was sticking around with the red, blue, black control deck despite the popularity of Bombazar at the time, and I think this is probably one of the most interesting versions of the deck. It's got a lot of ways to just survive against Bombazar decks, and then also to just completely take control of the game in the late game. Let's take a look at the card by card really quick and see how he did it. 2 copies of Bloody Squeedo. It's really good in this point in time because you need something that can deal with Ganta, and like your other 2-cost 3,000 blockers are just not going to be enough, so Bloody Squeedo is one of the best ways to do it as a low-cost blocker. Aqua Hulkus is always solid. You're drawing a card against control decks is good. Against rush decks, it puts a body on the board. And it's just a really, overall, great card to have. 3 Thrash Crawler is going to help us get stuff back from the mana zone, while also being stronger than those Gantas to just put up a wall when we need it. 4 Locomotivers for the discard, and the shield trigger is always nice to have. Core Isle is a classic, put a card to the top of the owner's deck. And 4 copies of Aqua Surfer on top of that. Aqua Surfer is so good against aggressive decks. Bounce something, and then you also get a 2k creature on board that you can maybe kill something with on your turn. Really good card that you pretty much have to be running 4 copies of if you're playing water in a control deck at this time. Now here's one of the interesting parts of this deck is that he went into like this kind of Declawaz the Terminator and Tanzanite the Awakener combo lock. Declawaz the Terminator has a tap ability where you can destroy all creatures of power 3,000 or less. This is going to include your own Core Isles, but that's important, because we are running 2 copies of Tanzanite the Awakener. With this creature's tap ability, you can choose a creature in your graveyard and return all creatures with that same name to your hand. So if you're using Declawaz, blow up your own Core Isles, then use Tanzanite, get it back, and then on the next turn you can just keep putting your opponent's stuff to the top of the deck. It makes it so hard for them to just ever get back in the game. Meanwhile, you're drawing cards and hopefully enough to get Bomedia Steel Dragon on the field to just win the game. The spell lineup is pretty much entirely a lot of like kill and disruption to just try to slow down decks in order for you to get to that end game where these end game cards are going to be enough to just close it out. So we've got 2 Spiral Gate. It's another shield trigger with bounce that'll just help you stay in the game for longer. 3 Crimson Hammer. It's 2 mana, so it's really strong to just use it to knock out a lot of weenies early. 3 Energy Stream just to draw cards. Crystal Memory, search out what you need. 4 Cranium Clamps as just pure disruption. Knock out stuff from your opponent's hands. A lot of these Bombazar decks, while they do have card draw, they're constantly putting things down on the field. So Cranium Clamp, it can be really good to just knock the Bombazars out when that's one of the few cards left in their hand. 4 Terror Pits, of course you gotta have it for the shield trigger. Blizzard of Spears is amazing in this format. It kills Gantas, it kills Petrubas, it kills everything pretty much except for the endgame beaters. 2 Lost Soul is pretty good, but one of the less important cards to be honest, because usually Cranium Clamp can be enough. And Apocalypse Vise just for a big board wipe. This deck is pretty solid and it's really fun to play once you get the lock going, so hopefully we can pull it off in today's episode.
Alright, this deck list here is Mohamed Al-Hendi's Bombazar mid-range deck list that he took to 3rd place at the Continental Championships. Of all the deck lists that I have access to for this week of the History of Duel Masters, this is probably the closest to just like a classic Bombazar blue deck list. The game plan is pretty straightforward. The idea is just that Bombazar Dragon of Destiny and its ability to grant you an extra turn is just extremely powerful and has the ability to close the game as soon as it's played with relative ease. And so basically the idea of this deck, we're running Fire, Nature, and Water. We need Fire and Nature for Bombazar, and then Water gives us access to like extra card draw that we can use to find our Bombazar and just continue to pile on resources and overwhelm our opponent. We've got Nature mana ramp cards like Poisonous Mushroom and Bronze Arm Tribe to get to our Bombazar faster. We've got Aqua Hulkus as an energy stream, so like that card draw I was talking about, so we can get more cards in our hand and potentially refuel our hand if we're up against discard or whatever. We've got Rumbling Terror Horns to find Bombazar, and then the idea is just we're going to build a pretty decent board, play Bombazar, hopefully follow it up with a Twin Cannon Sky Terror, and then just use that to win the game. I will say this list does have some interesting choices in it, in my opinion, that maybe weren't so standard for Bombazar lists. In particular, this list is running 3 copies of Rickabu's Screwdriver, which is a 2-drop card that lets us basically destroy blockers, which is normally this is used for more aggressive decks, but I do think it is pretty good here. Kill like the Palo Laces that are running around, or maybe Thrash Crawler or whatever. So this gives us another way to just clear the way for our main attackers. We've also got 2 copies of Apocalypse Vise, which is obviously just a really good board control tool. If you have time to play this, I think this is going to give you a pretty big edge in the mirror, basically, because you can just wipe your opponent's board. Oh, and one thing I actually did forget to mention, we do have 4 Soul Swap in here, obviously. This is pretty standard, and you're going to be seeing a lot of this, but I do just want to highlight that this is an insanely good card in these decks, because it can cheat out Bombazar early, or for 3 mana only, and then you can play like something else on top of that. Just a really good card, and it can do some absolutely disgusting things in these decks. So yeah, anyways, that's the deck. It's obviously pretty good. Looking forward to see how it does in the games today.
What you see before you is Nathan Rochette's 7th place deck from the Continentals. This is a really interesting deck because it's built entirely around controlling the board while also just blowing up your opponent's shields, so you don't ever have to worry about attacking their shields and any shield triggers ever. There's so many ways to do this, and the other thing that's really interesting about this deck is you're looking at a lot of cards right now. This is a 60 card deck. Now, this has some advantages and some drawbacks. Obviously, let's talk about the drawbacks first. With 60 cards, it can be really difficult to find what you're looking for, but if you look at this deck, almost everything is coming in at like 3-4 copies of it, so it's not actually that hard to find what you're looking for. However, when you're up in a control mirror match, having a bigger deck can actually be really important, because we're looking at so many of these beaters and finishers that you're going to have more things that can end the game than your opponent can deal with. Like, they only have 4 Terror Pits, you've got the 4 Bolmedius, and then on top of that, you also have like the other beaters, right? So it's really good at just like continually having things that your opponent just won't be able to deal with in the long run if you get into these long, grueling matches. However, it's a little bit weaker against Bombazar decks because it's difficult to stay alive when something is rushing you down and putting that much pressure on. Let's go through the card by card really quick and we can kind of see how it works. 4 Aqua Hulkus just for drawing cards, Locomotiver discarding of course, 4 copies of Thrash Crawler, which is an interesting pick. I think this is to just try to stay alive against these aggressive decks and also get stuff back from your mana zone. But like I said before, if you look at it, we're running 4 copies of most of the important cards in this deck, so it's not like we need to really be pulling up and searching for these 1-ofs. I think it's more of just a good blocker that gives you a little bit of a searching ability in the late game. 4 Core Isles, 4 Aqua Surfers, just like in the other red, blue, black control deck, this is going to be a really good package to just help deal with threats on the board and also just stay alive. Now we have 2 copies of Gajira Boot Vile Centurion. This is a come into play effect that just pops an opponent's shield to the graveyard. You don't have to worry about shield triggers, so that's pretty nice. Then on top of that, like, it keeps coming. We got 4 Bomedius Steel Dragon. It's not a come into play effect, but it can constantly just boom, boom, 2 shields every turn straight to the graveyard. And we've got 2 Core Crash Lizard. That's so many ways to just put shields straight to the graveyard that I think is a really interesting kind of deck that not many other people were using at the time. We also have 2 copies of Velirika Dragon, which some people don't know this card because it's a promo, not a card that came in a pack. This lets you search your deck for an armored dragon, show it to your opponent, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. What of our armored dragons? Well, pretty much you're just going to be taking Bomedius Steel Dragon, but in some situations you could take Baza as well. It's just another beat stick though, that like your opponent has to deal with it. If they run out of Terror Pits for the Bomediuses, well, you got Velirika, Gajira Boot, and Bazagazil Dragon are just going to finish the job anyways. We also have 2 Scarlet Sky Terrors just to deal with annoying blockers, but it's honestly, I don't know how needed it is in here. It's kind of like a really high-end card that I'm not sure how often it gets to that high end, but it was in here anyway, so we're going to be sticking with it. 2 Spiral Gates, 4 Energy Stream, 2 Crystal Memory, 3 Corpse Charger, so even if your opponent is recycling their Terror Pits, you can still keep getting back your Bomediuses and stuff. It's so hard to keep these things off the board forever because there's so many ways to get them back, and there's so many of them to begin with. 3 Cranium Clamp for discard, 3 Volcano Charger to hopefully ramp up and stay alive for a little bit longer, 4 Terror Pits, 2 Blizzard of Spears for the board wipe, 2 Lost Souls for the discard, and to close it off, just 1 Apocalypse Vise. This is a pretty interesting deck, very, very different from the other red, blue, black control deck, so it's pretty cool that we're going to get to see both of them today.
Alright, this deck list here is Carl Reddish's deck that he used to get 6th place at the Continental Championships. As you can see, this is another Fire, Water, Nature Bombazar deck. Overall, I think the game plan is pretty much the same as the other Fire, Water, Nature Bombazar decks. I think what sets this one apart though, it's a lot more focused on ramp specifically than some of the other ones, and so its game plan is really just ramp into like 6, 7, 8 mana, and then just start playing all of your finishers one after the other and hope that your opponent just won't be able to deal with them. And realistically, Bombazar is a strong enough card that probably they won't be able to deal with it if you've got a good enough hand to support it. But like, we've got the full playset of Poisonous Mushroom, the full playset of Bronze Arm Tribe, the full set of Windex, and the full playset of Rainbow Stone. This is actually a bit of an interesting one. I don't think anyone else in the top 8 was running this card, but it is another ramp card. 4 mana spell, you can search your deck and put any card into your mana zone. So if you want, you can just use this as ramp. It's also got some neat interactions with Soul Swap in particular, because like with Rainbow Stone, because I can take any card, you can play Rainbow Stone, say put Bombazar into your mana zone from your deck, and then Soul Swap it into the battlefield, and so you can use it as like a tutor to get anything onto the battlefield that you want. Requires 2 different cards in your hand in order to do that, but it's still a neat little interaction. But other than that, we do have the 3 Twin Cannon Sky Terror, the 2 Bomedius, and the 4 Bombazar, all as like our big double breakers. And so we just want to be ramping into those cards and playing a ton of them. So yeah, that's this deck. Obviously a very good deck. Looking forward to see how it does in today's episodes.
While this is the lowest placing deck at an 8th place finish, it is still one of the most interesting builds in the entire top 8, and it is easily my favorite deck out of all of them. This is Chris Johnson's Bark Whip Ain't Got No Mojo deck. Not many decks looked like this at the time, and I think he did well by just surprising the playing field with cards that people weren't really prepared for. It's kind of like a tempo-y aggressive deck, and it's got some really interesting card choices, so let's just jump into the card by card. It's kind of a Beast Folk centered deck, so
we're going to be rocking some of the strongest beast folk in the game. We've got 4 Quixotic Hero Swines now. This is a really solid early game 2-drop beast folk that can get really, really strong. Not only is it just like plus 3,000 whenever you summon another creature, we have a lot of other ways to make this even stronger. So we've got things like Bark Whip the Smasher. When it's tapped, your other beast folk get juiced up. So yeah, Quixotic Hero, he's getting even stronger. We also have 4 Pala Oasis Morning Guardian. It seems kind of weird putting a creature that can't attack players into a tempo aggressive deck, but it's just going to boost up the power of all your creatures to such a point that it makes it really difficult to just deal with anything. We've got 4 copies of Bronze Arm Tribe because this card is just going to ramp us, and it's a beast folk, so we want to have as many as we can. We've got 2 Lucia Lex Pinnacle Guardian, which is a really cool creature. It's not a beast folk, unfortunately, it is a guardian. It's a power attacker, so it goes up to 5,500 on the attack, and then at the end of your turns, it untaps, so it's really hard to actually kill this. Having 2,500 as its base power is also actually not bad, because you can't Crimson Hammer it, you can't Volcano Charger it, you have to waste bigger removal. That's going to make it just a really pesky card. Also, like, it is a Guardian, which is not the worst race, because we do have Petrova. We might call Guardian in some really niche situations, because we do have the Pala Oasis as well. We're going to be playing 4 copies of Sandfist the Savage Vizier. If he's discarded from your hand during your opponent's turn, you just get to summon it for free, and it's a beast folk, and it's a blocker. Just an insane card in this kind of deck. We're also, on top of the 3 Bark Whip, we're playing 2 Storm Wrangler the Furious. This is a really overlooked beast folk because it kind of gets overshadowed by cards like Bark Whip the Smasher and Fighter Dual Fang, but it's got a really interesting effect. When this creature attacks, you may choose one of your opponent's untapped creatures that has blocker. This turn, that creature blocks this creature if able, and this creature can't be blocked by other creatures. When this creature becomes blocked, it gets plus 3,000 power till the end of the turn. So it's pretty much just like kill an untapped opponent's blocker with less than 8,000 power. Nobody was playing Granger or anything like that at this time, so it's going to take out the Thrash Crawlers, it's going to take out the Bloody Squeedos, it's going to take out all these other things to just clear up room for your little weenies to go in and finish the game. We're also going to be playing 3 Techno Totem, which is really cool. While he's tapped, your other creatures get power attack plus 1,500, and he has a tap ability to start tapping your opponent's creatures. It makes it really, really difficult for your opponent to stick anything on the board for any amount of time, and just really keeps the pressure on. Having 5,000 power to boot makes it really hard to kill itself, so it's just really powerful. We've got 3 Petrova to just juice up mostly our beast folk, but again, we might call Guardian in some weird situations. And I suppose we could even call Mystery Totem, because not only do we have Techno Totem, but we have Vrima Freaky Mojo Totem. This is a weird card that many people also forget about. Whenever you put another creature into the battle zone, each beast folk gets plus 2k and double breaker till the end of the turn. So now, your Bronze Arms are double breakers, your Quixotic Hero Swine Snout, double breaker, Bark Whip, double breaker, Sandfist, double breaker, and they're just more powerful. It's actually just a really powerful card. On top of like all this other stuff, like you just get so much power in this deck. And to finish the creature lineup, yes, you are looking at this correctly, that is 2 copies of Bombazar Dragon of Destiny, and there's no other red cards in the entire deck. So theoretically, you could hardcast it, but you're most likely just summoning it by soul swapping it out. This is why Soul Swap is so busted. It lets you just splash in 2 Bombazar. Like, what the heck even is that? And then we just got some shield triggers to help stay alive, 2 Mana Nexus, and 4 Holy Awe. This is a really fun deck to play, and I'm really glad I spun it, and I can't wait to show you guys what it's capable of. With that said, that's all the decks from today's top 8. I hope you enjoyed getting to see them all. Now let's take a look at what they look like in action. It's time to duel. Welcome everybody to episode 10, Shockwaves of the Shattered Rainbow. Today we are at the 2006 North American Continental Championships in Charleston, South Carolina. Michael, we were actually both at this tournament. How did you do at this tournament?
My story at this event, I was a bit salty afterwards, it turns out. I started like 3-0 or something like that, so I had a really good start. Then I just played like 3 people who ended up in the top 8 in a row.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I forgot about that.
Makes sense. But I just lost 3 in a row to like people who finished in like the top of the event.
Oh my god, yeah, that's ridiculous.
I think I ended like 4-4 or something like that.
I was playing a red, blue, black control deck, And my round 1, I had like a decent board, and he had some cards in hand. And I was like, all right, I'm going to cranium clamp these, and then I'm going to be in a great position to end the game. And he just dropped double Sandfist, and then ends the game on his turn.
Geez.
And then I hadn't seen the Sandfist at all in that deck up until that point. So I was not prepared for them to be there. And then my whole tournament experience went downhill from there. And I
got even worse from that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it wasn't the worst, but I wasn't placing in any top rankings that time.
Yeah, me neither, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in time, like I didn't have the Bomb Bazaars, I couldn't keep up, and the Chicago scene wasn't doing so well, so I felt out of practice at that point.
My deck list was garbage, to put it lightly.
Yeah. I'm sure mine was. No, I bet mine was fine, but like, I think I played some kind of like Declawaz Tanzanite build. I don't even remember exactly.
Yeah, well, I was like, I had some new deck idea that like wasn't really even tested at all, and it showed.
Maybe it was just too far ahead of its time. We'll say that was the problem.
Sure, I'm fine with that.
All right, let's roll the dice and see who's gonna go first in this game. Are you ready?
Yep, let's go.
All right, 1, 2, 3, roll. Whoa!
Perfect
17,
20 out of 20.
That's a good way to start. All right, you could choose first or second.
Yeah, I think I'll go first.
All right, sounds good.
Somewhat more aggressive meta than we're used to in Duel Masters.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, talk about what changed the meta. Like, this set changed so much compared to any of the other sets. Like, these duels are gonna look absolutely nothing like what we've seen in any of the previous episodes. Whereas, like, the other episodes, like, the meta is slowly changing, and now we're just like, bam, it's all different.
Right. This may give away the list I started with, depending on how closely you were looking at these, but...
I'll be honest, I didn't really study them outside of the ones that I spun, but I'm aware of them.
I'll send Bazagazeel Dragon to mana and end the turn.
I know there are a couple decks with Baza in it in this top 8, but I'm not sure there's that many that you spun with Baza in it.
Right, yeah, that's what I've looked at it like before we spun the wheel, and I'm a bit confused who has what.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play the Wind Axe to mana, and I mean, that says something.
I mean, I'm gonna send Magma Rex to the mana zone.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Go ahead.
Alright, I'm gonna draw.
I'm on a bit slower deck here. Like, you may just be starting with the first place Bomb Bazaar deck.
We'll put the Bronze Arm to mana. We're gonna run out a Ganta, and we'll end the turn.
I'm shocked to see Ganta here. There's a surprising number of decks that, like not every deck was running both Ganta and Wind Axe, which surprised me a bit.
Yeah.
But I'll send Natural Snare to mana, and then I'll play a Bronze Arm Tribe.
Okay, he's pretty cool.
And go ahead.
I kind of like, it's a little scary looking at your mana and just seeing all those shield triggers, but that means they may not be in the shields, so I'm fine with that. We're gonna pay 3 mana for our own Bronze Arm Tribe. Oh, that's gonna put a
there's a Bomb Bazaar. Better hope I don't have Soul Swap.
Yeah, we're gonna break a shield.
Alright, that's good.
Go ahead. It is scary that, like, if you soul swap me, it's like, you'd rather not see that there. I would rather that been in my hand.
Well, I'll send Energy Stream to the mana zone, and I will play... You have 3 in your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for now this is the right play. Tap 4 for Volcano Charger, killing your Bronze Arm.
Okay, yeah, that probably makes the most sense.
And then go ahead.
That ramp is pretty good. Poisonous Mushroom down. I am going to Wind Axe as a Bronze Arm Tribe, I guess.
Sure.
And I'm gonna break shield too.
Yep, that's good.
Go ahead.
I mean, if you have Bomb Bazaar, you have Bomb Bazaar. There is honestly not a whole lot I can do about it. Do I just hope you don't have it?
I mean, like, if I do have it, like, what even are you gonna do?
That's a good question.
That's the thing, like, when you play these decks, it's like, it's no wonder that nowadays everyone just plays Bomb Bazaar ban.
Yeah.
Even when playing TCG.
I mean, what's funny, like, I don't have it, but if I had Bomb Bazaar in my hand, I could just win the game right there. Doesn't matter how far behind I am. But, okay, you don't play turn 5 Wind Axe. into no blockers unless you're ramping into either Bombazar or Twin Cannon, both of which end the game on the spot. So what we are going to do, we're going to send Burst Shot to mana. We're going to play Aqua Hulkus and pray to God we draw Soul Swap.
Oh god.
And we didn't, but we did draw Volcano Charter,
Okay.
so we can hit the Wind Axe. I'm not attacking. Go ahead.
Okay.
Show me the Bombazar.
Alright, I'll show it to you. Here it is.
Okay.
Alright, the
Very
Bombazar
good.
is gonna break shield 3 and 4.
Yep.
I'm having so much fun right now.
That's good.
Yep, and then Ganta is gonna go in.
Yep. That's good too.
Alright, I'll end my turn, I'll draw, and then I'll summon Bombazar.
Oh, that kills your other Bombazar.
Yep, it
Sorry.
does. And then I'll attack directly.
Alright,
what a-
GG's.
What a fantastic game. What a great way to start this episode.
Yep. I mean, I asked for it by playing the only deck list that had one Bombazar in it.
Yeah.
Alright, and since you won, I'm gonna choose, and I'm going to go first yet again.
Alright, sounds good to me. Good luck.
We'll send Ganta to mana. Go ahead.
Oh, what a shock.
This is looking familiar, isn't it?
It is. I'm going to play Holy Awe to mana. Go ahead.
Holy okay. I didn't think you'd be playing this deck. Well, I thought you'd be playing it, but not in this game. Alright, we'll send Soul Swap to mana. We'll run out of Ganta.
Ganta's
Go
pretty
ahead.
good.
Yep,
I'm gonna draw.
he is. I think, was this deck running Lugia Lex? I think it
is.
probably was. Yeah, so that could deal with Ganta.
I'm gonna play Quixotic and end the turn.
Well, that actually can too.
Yeah, it's got that. I mean, I've got Bark Whips. There's a lot that can deal with Gantas.
Yeah, I'm fine to just not let your Quixotic Hero Swine Snout trait. Well, yeah, I think I'm fine not going in. We'll send Mana Nexus to mana and end.
Oh, just an end. Okay.
Yeah, the draws are a bit awkward so far. Like, I needed to play Ganta to mana to get the Fire mana.
I'm gonna play Techno Totem to mana, and I'm gonna run out another Quixotic. Go ahead.
Alright.
I guess like I could attack there, but because if you summon something, you'd have to trade back. It's an interesting one.
Alright, I'll send Wind Axe to mana, and we'll play other Ganta.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
Alright, I'm gonna show. What the heck is this hand? Okay. I'm trying to remember what else your deck has in it. Not sure I like putting the Petruva to mana, but I'm gonna do it to summon Techno Totem and end the turn.
Alright.
So I can start juicing up.
Interesting choice, actually. How do we do this? I don't know. This is a surprisingly tough call here.
Yeah, with just 3 cards in your hand, I'm curious.
We'll send Soul Swap to
Oh,
mana,
okay.
and we
I can
will play Bronze Arm Tribe.
Yeah. I'm looking at that, and actually, like, you can't really soul swap out my Techno Totem without giving me something of equal or better value.
I mean, I
Which is
thought
kind of
about
funny.
Soul Swapping your Petruva out, but like, that's really just not even worth it, honestly.
Which one to do? I think I should do this. I'm gonna play the Bombazar to mana, which I've been holding since turn 1, but I was just too terrified of you soul swapping it out before I had anything on board.
That's fair.
And I'm gonna bring out Techno Totem number 2.
Oh, jeez.
So my guys are all pumped up. I'm gonna tap the first Techno Totem, and I'm gonna tap a Ganta.
Okay.
Quixotic is gonna kill the Ganta because he gets
Yep.
4,000 from summoning Techno Totem, and then, or 3,000, so he goes up to 4,000, and then he gets plus 1,500 power attack. So he's actually at 6,500.
Alright, well, we've got one card in our hand. It could be anything.
Yeah, that's it.
You
I
just
kind
gotta-
of figured what it was. I
Alright,
messed up.
That's not Rainbow. That's not Rainbow.
I'm an idiot. I summoned the wrong card. I wasn't actually supposed to summon the Techno Totem. I was supposed to summon the other one.
Oh, jeez.
Which actually, oh my god, I might have just lost the game from that. Alright.
Well, we're gonna play
Yep.
Bombazar.
See, because it doesn't matter now, I was like, oh yeah, I can just summon the blocker, and that's probably better right now. And then I was talking, and then I got distracted, and then I'm like, ooh, Techno Totem. Alright. Shield trigger Gothams time.
Like, I still won even through Palo Oasis if you have no triggers, I think.
Yeah. But it gives me a little bit of protection. All right, that's not triggers.
All right, I guess that deck is running Holy Awe, so I think I just want to clear as many shields as I can now, even though like I could just double break anyways.
All right, it's Holy Awe Gothams for the last turn.
Turn 2. Well, just since you did it too, we'll play our second Bomb Bazaar we just ripped off the top.
Oh, what a game, what a game.
Show me the Holy Awe.
Holy Awe, Bronze Arm Tribe. All right, you got it.
Yep. Bomb Bazaar wins again. Who would have suspected?
Oh yeah, who would have thought that this card is actually a good card? I'm gonna go first though, because I don't think you ever want to just let Bomb Bazaar go first. That just sounds bad.
Definitely not. But yeah, all right. You said you're going first, right?
No, I said I'm going second.
You're
going. I meant. Wait, yeah. I said I'm an idiot. I meant I'm going first.
I thought you said going first.
I said first, and then I set up. I'm like, yeah, I'm going second. But like, I already said I was going first.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for you to put your stuff down. Okay. Anyways, go ahead. I'm just dumb.
Well, I know you're on Darkwater Fire, which is interesting because I know you don't have Soul Swap. But I'll just send Aqua Surfer to mana. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's not much that makes more sense than just putting Aqua Surfer to mana in the beginning.
Yeah, Olmedius... Actually, no, I take it back. You didn't see anything. We're sending Bomb Bazaar to mana. Go ahead.
I forgot that deck had Bolmedius.
Yeah, I think it's the only Bomb Bazaar deck that was running Bolmedius, which is an interesting inclusion, but I think it's unlikely to be too useful in this game. Oh, sometimes you draw Aqua Surfer and your mana is E. Play Aqua Hulkus.
Alright.
And go ahead.
I'm gonna Locomotive her.
Okay. Ooh, I did not want you to hit that one.
That I'm pretty content with that.
Right, I will send Bolmedius to mana.
Okay, now he hits the mana.
Yeah, and I don't have any 1-drops. The order doesn't matter. We'll Energy Stream, draw some more cards.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Whoa! Don't move my mana, hon. What the heck? Okay, I accidentally moved my mana instead of tapped it. I'm gonna do another Locomotiver and hit an Energy Stream.
I've sort of already got the cards I want. Not too bent out of shape there. This was a really interesting inclusion from this deck, actually. We're gonna send Rainbow Stone.
Dude, that card is so good. It's actually incredible.
Dude, yeah, I'm a fan. I don't really want it right now, but yeah. Alright, so we'll play another Windax.
Okay.
So your bloody Squeedo.
I don't like where this is going in terms of how much mana you have.
Oh, you don't, do you?
No, I don't.
And I guess we just go in. If you have Burst Shot, I'm gonna feel sad. But...
well, it's a Terror Pit that I may as well just use, so let's take out the Windax.
Alright, sure. And go ahead.
I'll draw. Actually, no, hold on. I mean, does it make sense to just bounce the Aqua Hulkus? Alright, well, I mean, I have 2 cards. I mean, honestly, I feel like I just assume you have the Bomb Bazaar, right? Oh, that's weird. That's not the direction I want to be going with this deck right now, but it maybe makes the most sense. What does that lose to? I don't even know what that loses to. I feel like my odds are better if I do it like this. Would you drop the Bomb Bazaar? You probably would. With just an Aqua Hulkus, though? I actually don't know if you do.
But Bomb Bazaar is risky.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, would you even drop the Bomb Bazaar? That's what I have to... Oh my god. Or, like, if I play the other card to mana, and I summon the Aqua Surfer, I could just start going in. Like, does that deck have board wipes? I feel like it probably doesn't. But I mean, if I hit...
This is open deck list, I can tell you, no, it does not. This is just completely all in, ramp to 7 mana, and start slapping down your beaters.
Oh, man.
This list, the only trigger, or I guess Aqua Surfer, but it doesn't have Natural Snare, it doesn't have anything.
But I'm looking at, there's 2 Aqua Surfers are gone, and that's the only thing that I think would make this, like, just completely get screwed over. But, like, it can also just go downhill very quickly.
I mean, even if 2 Aqua Surfers are gone, there could still be another one.
The only thing is, like, the reason I'm too hesitant on it is because it's not enough to win in 2 turns, right? Because my Locomotivers get 2 shields, and then the Aqua Surfers, it'll take you down to 0, assuming you have no triggers. But that gives you time to just drop, like, 2 or 3 weenies and then some of the Bombazar. And like you're gonna get all of that if I start breaking the shields. So that, no, I feel like that can't be the play. I have to just cranium clamp you instead.
Oh, that's...
And then just like assume the Bombazar is not gonna be enough on its own. Assume I get a trigger. I feel a little bit more comfy doing this. It's what?
It's rough, actually.
Yeah. This was supposed to get you down to no cards, but you had the energy stream and the Hulkins. And I thought like Loco Cranium would be pretty decent.
Okay, we'll discard Aqua Hulkus and Soul Swap.
Okay, I'm assuming that means you're holding on to the Bombazar at least.
Actually, no. We will send Bronze Arm to mana, which is the card we drew. And we were holding on to Twin Cannon.
Okay.
So actually, if you did nothing, what I would have done was played Aqua Hulkus and then Soul Swap that Aqua Hulkus out for Bombazar, knowing that I had the Twin Cannon as backup in my hand.
I see, that makes sense.
At post clamp, this is what we're doing, and Twin Cannon's going in.
Okay.
The way I figure, like, probably you can answer. I'm gonna end, or do I want to end here? Actually, maybe I don't end here.
Could see it going either way.
I guess you were out of cards before also, so like maybe you don't have an answer to the Twin Cannon. Like I know you don't have Terror Pit because you would have just triggered Terror Pit.
Yeah, exactly. I did get my 1 Terror Pit trigger already, which I kind of wish I had it there instead of before on the Windex.
Yeah, so without, like, your only answers to Twin Cannon are Apocalypse Vise or like Core Isle, which means I can just replay the Twin Cannon. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end here.
Alright, I'm gonna draw. And I put the Bomedius to mana.
Yeah, I'm also just like threatening to top deck Twin Cannon or Bombazar.
Yeah, I know, and I don't like that. I mean, I'm gonna summon a Core Isle, but like...
Fair enough.
If I Core Isle the Twin Cannon, I at least know that you're not drawing anything too insane. But like, if I do the Aqua Hulkus, you could still Aqua Hulkus into Soul Swap.
I can just win if you.
But yeah,
the Twin Cannon, unless you have Crimson Hammer as your last card.
But like the other thing is like, I feel like if I don't have a shield, I probably just lose anyways.
Yeah, but maybe you assume you need triggers already.
Yeah, and like at least with the Twin Cannon, then you just have the same field, and my shield triggers, when I get them, hopefully will do something about it. But I think I'm just gonna go for the Aqua Hulkus.
Alright.
I think that makes slightly more sense. And then I just have to end the turn there.
Right. Well, I mean, we're obviously gonna play the Aqua Hulkus.
Yep.
And I mean, we'll follow it up with the Bronze Arm Tribe. Ooh, okay. You don't like to see that.
I kind of like to see that. That's
It's an argument to not going in. I don't think it's a very good argument, though. Twin Cannon's going in.
Alright.
Alright, no Burst Shot. I like that. Burst Shot would feel bad for you, also. But these other guys can't attack, so go ahead.
Okay, there's 1 card I can draw off the top of my deck to save me in this situation. And that legitimately was it.
Incredible.
Alright, so we're gonna do 2 for a blocker. And then I can play 6 for the Blizzard of Speed. Or I do it in the opposite order.
Yeah, okay.
But it was easier to tap the Darkness mana first on OCTGN.
Alright.
But I was like, there's a lot of things this loses to. And yep, that's one of them. Yep, you got it.
Alright.
Oh my gosh, this episode honestly was a perfect showcase of this meta.
I mean, honestly, although like I didn't play Bombazar this game, that was just like Twin Cannon Turbo that game.
Yeah, but like it's still good. It's still just like you get the pressure and like the tempo kind of decks going.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what this meta was. Just, I mean, it speaks for itself. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up like all the deck lists, and instead of us like putting the decks out like we used to, we'll just go through and like
scroll through all of them.
So like let's just count how many Bombazar decks we're looking at. So obviously we have 1. We have 2. Is this one Bombazar?
This one isn't. I mean, this one feels like a Bombazar deck, but the guy only had 1 copy of Bombazar.
Yeah, that's like the weird water, fire, nature control.
Yeah.
And then there's just like another Bombazar, and then the dragons, and then this is still like a Bombazar.
Yeah.
So like realistically, there's only 2 control decks, and the rest are like, well, I guess there's 3 control decks. This 4th place deck is one of the more interesting.
There's 2 control decks and 1 control deck that also has Bomb Bazaar. And
Yeah.
Swap.
So you can really see how the metagame was very like just very aggressive decks like that. And so in order to try to keep up these control decks, they have to be playing the 4 Aqua Surfers. You have to have a lot of shield triggers. Unfortunately, I didn't really get them in that game, but it is possible for these decks to win, but it's also possible for them to just get completely dumpstered like that and just lose so fast. And it's like, I feel like with the hand I had, I don't think I was winning that game, kind of no matter what. Unless the Locomotivers just hit everything they needed to, but even then, like...
Yeah, well I mean, if you didn't... If I didn't have that energy stream, for example, then I would have been top decade, so I wouldn't have had the first wind cannon. That would have been a lot harder for me to actually...
And that would have given me time to hopefully hit, like, the late game that the deck... Like, if it hits the late game, it's going to be winning. In terms of, like, the just, like, most interesting deck, I'm still very partial to the Bark Whip Ain't Got No Mojo deck. Just because it's, like, it stands out.
Before, Ben, but, like, I played against this deck in the event. It was real.
Yeah. It's so fun, too. Once you get it going, it's just so powerful and hard to deal with.
Yeah, the other, like, it didn't pan out in our match, but, like, if you're against other Bomb Bazaar decks, like, they think they're winning, and then you just hit them with the Holy Awe on your shields, which, like, none of the other Bomb Bazaar decks had access to.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to point out. This is the only deck with Holy Awe in the top 8, but realistically, that's one of the best answers in the shields to Bomb Bazaar. And not only does it have Holy Awe, it also has the Mana Nexus, which can set up the Holy Awe. So it makes it actually really difficult for Bomb Bazaar decks to end against this. Unfortunately, I had no shield triggers, but you're looking at, what, 12 out of a 43 card deck is decent? Or that's only 10, actually.
Yeah, it isn't running the full playset of Mana, which, like, I can kind of... You don't really want to be, like, drawing the Mana Nexuses. You just want to be able... Like, maybe if you have one and you can put a Holy Awe into your shields or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the idea.
And even then, like, I feel like it also does have a good matchup against Control, because if they're discarding, you get the Sand Fists. You get, like, just a lot of just power cards that makes it hard to tempo down.
Play Bomb Bazaar.
Yeah, you cannot.
Really hard for Control to deal with.
Yeah, Petrova and Palo Oasis.
Yeah,
really
interesting. That was
deck.
how I lost. He got like Petrova and Palo Oasis out, and then just his entire board was bigger than mine.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do.
And then once the Techno Totems hit, your board is gone, or a Holy Awe. So many different options there. So that's a really cool one. I also like, in hindsight, this Dragon Devil deck. When I first looked at it, I thought it was, like, really weird. But I think it's really cool, specifically in a Control matchup, like a Control Mirror match.
Yeah.
Because, like, you've got 4 copies of Bomedius. Then you have 3 Corpse Chargers. You've got stuff to search out the Bomedius with Velirica Dragon. And, like, you just have so much stuff, and you have 60 cards.
One interesting thing also, so Velirica Dragon can search itself, right?
Yes.
So, like, you can't really do this with 2, but maybe if you were running more Velirica Dragons, then, like, you just keep searching itself, and you play another Double Breaker every turn, and then you just say, like, deal with it. You've only got 4 Terror Pits.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you just have the cards that are instantly breaking shields. So in an extended game, it feels like this deck is going to win out. The only problem is we're looking at the meta right now. Yep. Can it get to that point?
Well, I mean, it did get to the top 8, so clearly it did decently. Now, it is worth mentioning, like, the top 8 was, like, all Bomb Bazaar decks, but it wasn't, like, the entire tournament was playing. Like, there was other stuff running around at the tournament also.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, there was a lot of Bomb Bazaar outside of the top 8 also, but there was also a lot of, like, Dark Water Fire. There was probably some Water Nature still. I mean, Rush is always around.
Water Nature was still there. I remember there was a Survivors deck that placed quite high, actually. I lost to it. It was good. That was the featured match. But I would say the majority was honestly like Bomb Bazaar and Dark Water Fire Control. But as we saw, the Bomb Bazaar decks just tended to come out on top just a little bit more often.
Previous tier 0, and then Bomb Bazaar is the new tier 0.
It actually, at this point in time, like, it's difficult to get 4 copies of Bomb Bazaar.
Also true.
I remember Mohammed, who got 3rd. He's running 3 Bomb Bazaars. and he picked them up, like he had to buy them off of somebody at the last minute in the hotel room, like just before the tournament
I remember
began.
that too, now that you
Yeah,
say
because we
that.
were there,
Oh
like
my
chilling in the
gosh,
lobby,
yeah.
and he like just got them, and he was like, "Is it enough to like play Bombazar? Like, should I play the other deck?" And then he's like, "No, like it's enough," and it worked out really well for him.
Right.
It actually, we didn't get to see it. He had Rickaboos Screwdriver in there.
Yeah, no, I talked
we
about
didn't
that
see
in the deck profile.
Yeah.
I think that's a neat inclusion, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that deck. All these decks are interesting in their own ways, but at the same time, like, we definitely were able to see why the meta kind of got stale with all these Bombazar decks.
Yep.
And how people just lost motivation to want to play against that, which is going to kind of lead us into set 11, Blastosplosion of Gigantic Rage, where, like, at this point in time, tournaments start, like, dying off slowly at this point, because people, they don't want to deal with the Bombazar, so they start going to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Regionals instead. They start going to, like, these other games. Like, people aren't playing Duel Masters as much.
Yeah, well, around we knew they were ending official support around this time also, right? Like, I don't think it was at the second Continentals that we knew that.
We didn't know it for sure, but it was kind of like in everyone's mind that things felt like they were winding down. Because if you
Right.
compare like this Continentals to last, I'll probably have talked about this in the intro. I haven't made it yet, but like the first Continentals, the people that won the qualifiers got flown out. They got free hotels. The prize support was like insane. It was paying down to like top 32 with like good gift cards to like a computer store, right? Then at this one, the prize support was cut drastically. And that's like cutting, including we went from 2 age divisions to
Right,
1.
yeah.
And that 1 age division is less prize support than either of the other 2 from the first Continentals. Those that qualified didn't get their trip paid out for them, so everyone had to pay their own way out here. And it just like, the whole production of it felt like a much lower budget than the first one. So people kind of had it in their minds that like this game is kind of winding down. And then Bombazar felt like the nail in the coffin, as sad as it is, that like
Yep.
it wasn't going to pick up after that. Bombazar did get placed on like a watch list after this tournament, where it was like, oh, if it gets worse, he's going to get banned. But at that point, it was too little, too late, and they never ended up banning him. He was just stuck on this watch list in limbo forever.
I'm almost sure he would have been banned had official support for the game.
Oh, absolutely,
continued.
absolutely. But yeah, before we spoil too much about the next meta, we're just going to wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this showcase of like many different decks. I think it was a fun way to show what the meta really looked like, because this is the first time we get like the entire top 8 of deck lists, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, we'll catch you guys next week with Blastosplosion of Gigantic Rage. Peace!